Hello lovely people, in this video we'll be talking about amplifiers. Mainly that one is going to be kind of a review of this amplifier, and on top of that I'm just going to tell you why I chose this and how we're going to use it. So, if you're following my build, I do have two 18-inch subwoofers in infinite baffle venting through the sides over there. If you haven't seen it, watch a few previous videos back. At the moment, for simplicity, I have only one single 4-channel amplifier, which is US Amps SQ442. At the moment, first two channels are running the mid-ranges and the dash. The third channel is running front subwoofer, and the fourth channel wired down to 1 ohm running both of these infinite baffle subs. So at the moment I'm getting probably like close to 400 watts to 200 watts each for these subwoofers. Now I will address one question that a lot of people always ask: why do you need so much power for infinite baffle subwoofers when in reality they need much less because they're very efficient? If you're repurposing normal subwoofers that's supposed to be used in a sealed enclosure, they will need very little power to reach X-max. These are dedicated infinite baffle subwoofers, and they will take full RMS power down to 20 hertz. Like if you're gonna go to one audio website and you're gonna have a look at specs of these, in the spec sheet it will be listed 1250 watts at 20 hertz, and this is just to reach X-max. If you want to go above X-max up to mechanical limits, that is purely for SPL purposes, you can feed them more, like I don't know, 1500 1600 watts or so. With that in mind, in the beginning I didn't plan to have two of them. I was planning to have only one, and that one I wanted to run on an Alpine M2000, which is a 2000 watt amplifier. That one I sold it because I really don't need it, because I got this one. So I have now MRX M240, which is rated at 2400 at 2 ohms, and I have two of these monoblocks X series A90M, which are rated at 900 watts at 2 ohms. So I had a little bit of a dilemma, because in the beginning I wanted to run one amplifier for both subwoofers. However, these are single 2 ohms. I'm gonna wire them in parallel down to 1 ohm. This amplifier is not stable at 1 ohm. It goes down only to 2 ohms, like all Alpine amplifiers. These, since I have two of them, I could run one amplifier per subwoofer. However, the problem is size. This is how these amplifiers look like. That big boy is bloody massive, and you know, if you again follow my channel, that for the front end I will be running Alpine F900, which is a massive amplifier. Plus I will be running this one, and I need a monoblock for the subs. Plus, I need a lithium battery, a DSP, a DC-DC charger, some other electronics. So this is going to be extremely crammed. Hence, running this monster, again, it's not stable down to 1 ohm, but running two of these will take a lot of real estate. So what I decided to do, I reached out to my friends at ESX, and I was very bold and asked them straight away, can you please sponsor my build with one of your amplifiers? And lucky for me, they said yes. So I didn't pay for this amplifier. I'm trying to be as open and as clear to my followers as well. This was sent to sponsor my build. This is a 3000 watt amplifier. So, well, it's rated at 3.3K. So it will do much more than this and much more than two of these, especially because these are rated 914.4 and my lithium is running at 13-ish. So we'll be much less than that. And again, these are rated 1200. So 800, 1200, it wouldn't, even two of these would not realize the full potentials of these subwoofers. And it's like, what is the point of having two of these monsters if you cannot play them full tilt? So I chose this one. This video, after such a long intro, is gonna be a review of this ESX VX3000 Pro amplifier. This is your typical Brazilian full bridge, full range almost amplifier. if we're gonna have a look at the specs, we have 1200 at 4 ohms, 2200 at 2 ohms, and 3300 at 1 ohm. Now it does have an infrasonic at 10 hertz, same as these ones, but this one kicks in a little bit earlier. We will have a look at all the measurements and we'll compare them with these as well. If you know, in the previous last year when I had the Insignia, I had a Taramps Smart 3 bass. I was very happy with it. However, when I got this one and I thought I'm gonna be running only one subwoofer, I sold it because I didn't need it. I thought I'm gonna run my Alpines, but again, plans change so fast that I can barely keep up. So now specifically for this build, this is gonna be a perfect amplifier. It is smaller than a single of that and half the size of that. So we'll be able to cram it in the corner and it will run both of these subwoofers like 1500 watts each, which is a little bit more than they need. So this is the intro. Now let's have a look very quickly at the actual amplifier. For those that are not familiar with the brand ESX, it is a European brand based in Germany. They do make both SPL and SQ stuff. This amplifier is more towards SPL because obviously full range 3K is like nothing to do with SQ. However, I do have very high hopes that this amplifier performs very well, and I think it will perform much better than the Taramps. Is it going to be cleaner than the Alpine? We're gonna see. Now, when I said that this is your typical Brazilian 3K, if you have a look at the layout of the inputs, outputs and everything, you will notice that there are a lot of different brands making a similar amplifier that looks extremely similar. However, all of them use slightly different parts. Some of them use the cheapest of the cheapest. Some of them, like this one, has a little bit more and it is a little bit upgraded with more quality parts. Apparently this design is quite old. It's probably like 10 years old. There were a few bugs, but I think ESX ironed out everything, especially since this is a full range amplifier, so it has to play high and it has to be clean. Now, I was looking at the box, I was looking at the manual, I was looking at this one, and I didn't find where this amplifier is made. So it says designed and engineered in Germany, but made in, there's nowhere nothing written. So is it made in Germany? Is it made in China? I have no idea. Not that I have a problem with anything, it's just for other people. Inside we have something like this. And again, if you're gonna open a Taramps 3K, if you're gonna open a Powerus, Sound Digital, Ground Zero, Bassface in the UK, you will find that all of those amplifiers have kind of almost the same internals. You're gonna find your inputs where you have your transformers, primary capacitors, secondary capacitors, and this is output filtering, and this is your output. Now you will have different variations with different number of FETs, different types and sizes of capacitors. Probably some of them will use toroidal transformers. This amplifier is using 2 ferrite core transformers, which are supposed to be more reliable, more stable. They might not be as efficient, I would imagine, but for SPL uses, they should last longer. In the output, we have film capacitors, which supposed to have better filtration, output inductor, which is massive. In regards to the build quality, this thing is literally bulletproof. Nothing is even slightly wiggling. Everything you can see is sealed with epoxy. You can see here as well, literally everything is flooded. Even these are flooded so they would not ring and buzz and anything. Component wise, there's not many components, but apparently this designed was kind of checked and improved by ESX engineers. They do have their own, I think, double layer PCB. I'm not sure. You can see ESX Vision, so this is their own PCB, and in general it looks like a quality piece of gear. Now, one thing to note is that this amplifier is actively cooled. It has one single fan. Taramps, the one that I had 2 fans on the sides and it was blowing sideways. The Taramps, I think the FETs were fixed a little bit like on an angle with a thicker heatsink, and it was blowing through the actual FETs. This is just cooling all of this. From the outside, it looks, to me, it looks very nice, all black. This has that not brushed metal, but like, I don't know how it's called, but it looks very, very nice. sexy a little bit. On the input side, we do have only our inputs, which are should be 0 gauge, I would imagine, with these very, very deep set screws. So you will need to expose a lot of wire to get it in there. And on this side, that's it. On the other side, we have all our controls and the outputs. So outputs, I think this is probably like close to 6 gauge, is bigger than 8 gauge, I would imagine. Big, massive terminals. We'll have our power, protect, and clip light. So clip light is very nice. All of our things that we're not going to use because we will be running this fully active. So the only thing I need to turn the low pass all the way up to 5K. As I mentioned, this is a full range amplifier. So the highest low pass is 5 kilohertz. So you can run this on mid ranges, not tweeters, but on mid ranges. So if you have like, I don't know, 6-8 inch PA style mid range drivers in each door, you can use this one because why not? And the input sensitivity, this is not a stereo input. So this is high voltage sensitivity and lower voltage, up to 4 volts and up to 9 volts. So my Helix DSP Pro Mark III has 8 volts out maximum. So I think I'm going to be using this high voltage input, and I know that I will never clip the inputs, and the output is going to be close to, I don't know, 2.8K or something. So it's going to be something maximum that the woofers can handle. We have Tiffany style RCAs, which is very nice to see, and pretty much that's it, because again, it's a simple mono amplifier. It is a little bit taller than all the other amplifiers that I have, exactly the same like with the Taramps, but it's just to compensate because you need the heat to go somewhere. So even if it is actively cooled, it still needs quite a beefy heatsink. But size wise, it's tiny. I love it. It's gonna fit my install perfectly. So enough of me blabbing, let's jump into the laptop and I'm gonna show you how this thing measures. It's gonna be just a few measurements, so we're just gonna jump into this straight away. This is THD versus level. We can see I got up to 1%, about 1870 watts. This was at about 13 volts. I did connect my good battery, the good lithium, because I have 2 of them. One of them would be dropping probably down to 12. This one holds 13, so almost 2K at 13. It is rated. Kinda. If you would go up to 14.4, probably is going to be 2.3. So yes, it does do rated. In regards to the cleanliness, it is very clean. My goal again for multi-channel amplifiers for mids and highs is everything below 0.1 and above 0.01 is very, very good. Everything below 0.01 here is exceptional. So this being a monoblock and having a distortion of 0.02 throughout the whole range, to be honest, is very nice. THD itself, you can see it even drops on lower power down to 0.01. So this is very, very clean. The question is how this compares to all the other amplifiers that I mentioned previously. This was the Taramps. So the Taramps, yes, it does have much more distortion, and the Taramps I did manage to measure it only up to 1.7K because it does 3K no matter the load, from half an ohm up to 2 ohms, I think. So I didn't manage to run it up to clipping, but yes, it is much dirtier than this ESX. My beloved Alpines, this is the M2000. This was measured, I believe, at 4 ohms because at that time I didn't have enough resistors. So you can see that it does have this bump for some reason, but if we're going to ignore it and assume that it's going to go a little bit lower, so the M2000 a little bit more cleaner compared to the ESX, but the difference is negligible. And the Alpine X series, the one that I want to use 2 of them, this is much cleaner. This is the cleanest monoblock that I've ever seen. It is much cleaner. However, it doesn't do much power. Up to 1%, we have about 700 watts, but this is like 12.4 volts or something. So it would do close to 900 at a higher voltage, and it is much cleaner, but again, it's just not enough power for me. But this one, yeah, it does a lot. Now let's compare. This is a 50 hertz sine tone, so we could see the noise. As I mentioned, this is a full range amplifier, so it does play up to like 7-8K. We're gonna have a look at the frequency response later, and it is clean. It does have just a few harmonics, 1, 2, and no really high frequency noise. Terramps, on the other hand, yeah, you see this because it is a dedicated monoblock. They don't care about high frequency content, and output filtering probably is not as good. Even if the schematics and layout and the board is very, very similar, these we can say that they're very different amplifiers. The noise wise is just not comparable. Now, if we compare this to the M2000 Alpine, the M2000 is a bit more dirtier. What we need to remember is that the M2000 is a very old amplifier. So the Class D technology, even if Alpine kind of rules in Class D, it's still not as good. And probably this is just, again, output filtering. Not as bad as Terramps, but much worse compared to the ESX. And the Alpine X is, yes, much lower floor noise, much lower harmonics. This, again, is very, very clean. It's not enough for me. I would use them, but it's just not enough. So this ESX is surprisingly a very, very good performance. Now, in regards to the frequency response, these are all 4 amplifiers overlaid. So the ESX, you can see it does drop off. Even with the high pass all the way down to 10 hertz, it does start to drop off at like 20 or something. At 20 hertz, we have like 1.5 dB down. At 10 hertz, 3.5 dB down. So it does roll off much more compared to the others. The Terramps, probably it would perform very similar. However, when it was at Sam's, I asked him to remove the high pass filter altogether. So it has the extension you can see at 3 hertz minus 2 dB. So it is totally flat. The M2000 as well, you can bypass the high pass filter and it does play again into single digits. And the Alpine X has a 10 hertz undefeatable infrasonic. So down to 10 hertz it plays flat and then it drops off. Now, with this ESX, is it going to be a problem? Probably not. If I will see that I will need a bit more, I'm just going to send it to Sam and he's going to remove the infrasonic filter and it's going to be same like Terramps. For the high frequencies, you can see that the ESX plays all the way up to 3, 4, 5K and then it kind of drops off. So you can use it for mid-ranges, not for tweeters, but for mid-ranges, definitely. The Alpine X, it does play up to 400 in all the specs, and the Terramps and the other Alpine up to 200. And the only difference is that the Terramps has a shallower slope and the Alpine has a more steeper slope. And that's it pretty much. So in regards to the performance of this amplifier, I'm really, really happy. THD of 0.01 plus noise 0.02. No higher harmonics. The only kind of gripe is this frequency response at the bottom end that a little bit rolls off, but I don't think it's going to be an issue. And it does rated power, so at 1 ohm it's going to be close to 3K, which is much more than I need and is very, very controlled. So I'm super happy how this amplifier performs. And if this is going to influence your decision to pay a little bit more extra compared to the Terramps, yeah, it's definitely worth it. Because again, even if the board is very similar, the parts and the output filtering is very different and the performance is different as well. So ESX, again, thank you for this amplifier, and all of you, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.